Hey everyone, it's Rihanna and welcome to my Dark Season 3 video. I am so sad that it's over. I absolutely loved this show. Oh my goodness, it was incredible. So to go through Dark Season 3, I just want to talk a little bit first about everything I loved about it and then talk about my top 5 what the fuck moments like I did with Season 2. I'm no good at reviewing TV shows that are as confusing as Dark, and I am no good at explaining videos, so we're just going to talk about how much I loved it and how much of an absolute mindfuck it was. This video will be full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen Dark Seasons 1 through 3, leave now. You have been warned. Just a little disclaimer before I start this video, I did watch Dark in German with English subtitles, but for the sake of this video and the fact that I suck at pronouncing names in German, I'm just going to pronounce the names in English. It's a lot easier. And I guess with that said, let's talk about Dark Season 3. I think the first thing I want to talk about is just how incredibly surprised I was by Season 3. After Season 2 and the reveal of the alternate world and Alt Martha, I had no idea where the show was going to go, how they were going to explain everything and answer all of our questions and surprise us and shock us and mindfuck us, but somehow the writers and the creator of the show, Baron Bo Odar, managed to do it. Like, they are insanely talented people for pulling off this show. It is one of the most clever, well-written, thought-out shows I have ever seen. The Season 3 trailer definitely promised us a lot of answers and was going to show us in Season 3 how everything was connected, and boy, did they deliver on that part. Everything in this show, down to a T, is connected and significant in some way or another. So I just wanted to start off this video by praising the writers of the show, the creator of the show, the actors, especially Lewis Hoffman and Lisa Vicari. Oh my god. Them as Jonas and Martha made me feel so many emotions this season. The cinematography, the score, the casting direction is all just phenomenal on Dark. Like, this is one of the most well-written and one of the most well-made and well-acted shows. It's all around just perfection. I do still have a few questions that I feel like they left unanswered, maybe because there is another explanation for it that they might tell us in the future, or they just want us to experiment and answer it for ourselves. I don't know. But all in all, I think they did a really great job at answering all of the very important questions and tying everything up together in the end. That doesn't mean I don't want to know what happened to Waller's eye, okay? That is like the biggest question in the show. And why nobody wears a raincoat except Jonas. It rains all the time in Vinden. But with the timelines and the realities and the alternate worlds and everything going on, the writer's room probably looks something like this. So I will accept a couple of questions unanswered. Now I have expressed how incredible Dark was, how much I loved it, and how much I will be hanging on to the story of Waller's eye for the rest of my life, let us discuss my top 5 what the fuck moments. Coming in at my number 5 is the one of many killings of parents and children, or children to parents. It happens a lot in Dark, and that is the moment that Helen kills Katerina. At the end of Season 2, just before the apocalypse in the Prime World, we know that Katerina has taken one of the time machines to try and travel in time to save Ulrich and Mikkel. In Season 3, it's revealed that she has actually time travelled to the 80s and discovers that Ulrich is in the psychiatric ward and she is going to try and break him out. Earlier on in Season 3, Katerina meets her mother Helen in the psychiatric ward where she works, and she decides she's going to try and steal her keycard in order to break Ulrich out. In episode 5 of Season 3, Katerina follows Helen in order to steal her keycard. The two end up in a fight where Katerina actually tries to knock her mother out with a rock. Just before they end up in a fight, Katerina calls Helen her mum, and Helen is obviously confused as Katerina in the 80s is a teenager. In an earlier episode of Season 3, it is revealed that Helen actually had an abortion before she eventually had Katerina, and now she thinks the adult Katerina has come from hell as a devil to haunt her. As I said, Katerina knocks Helen out with a rock, but she gets back up and goes back to Katerina and kills her with this rock, calling her the devil, that she shouldn't exist, etc, etc. Now, the reason this is a huge what the fuck moment for me isn't necessarily the murder by Helen to Katerina. It is the fact of how that significant part of the show ties in with other parts of the show. Now, in episode 6 of season 2, when 2020 Jonas travels back to 2019 to stop his father from killing himself, he encounters the group of friends at the beach. Before 2020 Jonas arrives, we have the original gang, 2019 Jonas, Martha, Magnus and Bartosz at the lake. While swimming in the lake, Bartosz tells Martha a story about a woman who was drowned in the lake, who you can sometimes encounter there, and sometimes she will pull you down into the water. Now, in season 3, when Helen kills Katerina, she actually fills her pockets with stones and sinks her to the bottom of the lake. So all this time, the story of the woman at the bottom of the lake who drowned is actually Katerina. Bartosz is telling Martha a story about her own mother. The writer's minds, people. The writer's minds. Like, that story seemed so sort of random and insignificant in season 2, and then season 3 just... fuck. Later on in episode 6 of season 2, obviously 2019 Jonas leaves, and then 2020 Jonas comes to encounter Martha and finds the necklace of St. Christopher in the sand. And this necklace actually belonged to Helen, and in the struggle, Katerina pulled it from her neck. So Jonas gave Martha her own grandmother's necklace, which she got from Hannah back in the 50s. Like, my mind just went all over the place at that moment when that all sort of fixed itself together in my brain and all connected. My mind was blown. I think this was a huge what the fuck moment for me, because it really does show how everything in the show is connected and pretty much no detail is left unturned or unfinished or unexplained, and that really just got me. At my number 4 spot for what the fuck moments for Dark season 3, we have Jonas kills Hannah. Yes, another case of a parent killing a child or a child killing a parent. It happens a lot, apparently. In episode 7 of season 3, Hannah travels to meet Jonas in the year 1911 with her young daughter Celia. Celia is obviously the girl we know from season 2 who was in 1952 with Elizabeth, and she is also the daughter of Hannah and Egon Tiedemann. Hannah arrives and explains how Eva has told her that Jonas is looking for her, and things start to get a bit sour from there. From all the time travelling, Jonas is now disfigured. He looks like he has burns all over his face. He's basically transformed into a younger sort of version of Adam. This is when we really see the change in Jonas's appearance and personality and in his morals. With the appearance of Hannah and Celia in the year 1911, those two are not in their place of the chessboard. Hannah is not supposed to be there at all, and Celia needs to be sent to the future in order to take her place by Elizabeth. Once Celia and Hannah retire to their bedroom, Jonas goes up to their chambers and explains that she is not where she is supposed to be. He then suffocates her, leaving Celia unknowing of her mother's death, and then he kidnaps Celia to take her to the future. Now, the reason this was such a shocking moment to me is because I love Jonas as a character. He's my favourite character in the whole entire show, and for the longest time after the big Adam is Jonas reveal, I was unconvinced. I was like, no, there is no way that Jonas is going to turn into Adam. But seeing the transition really got to me. Seeing how all of the time travel and mind games with Eva and Claudia have aged him and have mentally scarred him. He is obsessed with everything being in its place in order for the apocalypse to take place, for him to break the cycle. This was just such an out of character thing for Jonas to do. I just can't imagine my precious baby 2019 Jonas doing this, and his transformation into Adam was so convincing and Obviously, Hannah had to die in order for the cycle to be right again, and I couldn't breathe in that moment. When watching that, I could not breathe. At my number 3 of what the fuck moments for Dark Season 3 is Alt Martha shoots Jonas. I was not prepared for this. I still am not and will probably never be over Adam shooting Prime Martha. So for the roles to be reversed, what are these writers trying to do to my emotions? After Jonas suspects that Eva has led him and younger Alt Martha on a path to continue the cycle rather than break it, they return to Eve's lair. Now at this point, Jonas and Alt Martha have already slept together, and unknowing to both of them, Alt Martha is carrying Jonas's child. Now in Eva's lair, we obviously have Eva, adult Alt Martha, and then Jonas and younger Alt Martha. Things start to get heated when Jonas accuses Eva of sending him and younger Alt Martha on the wrong path when the older but teenager Alt Martha arrives. All of the Marthas, including Eva, try to explain to Jonas that his purpose has now been fulfilled in the role, obviously impregnating Alt Martha, and older teen Alt Martha shoots Jonas. Oh my goodness, how the tables turn here. Who do you trust on this show? Who do you trust? You can't trust Jonas, you can't trust Martha, you can't trust anybody, because they'll just end up killing each other. Now this was a huge what the fuck moment because I didn't think Jonas could die. How Alt Martha could have shot Jonas really confused me in the beginning. I was obviously crying, I was distraught at the death of Jonas, and I was also insanely confused until this episode when they actually explain that Eva created 2 timelines slash realities that go alongside each other. One where Jonas was rescued by Alt Martha before the apocalypse, and one where he hid in the basement. They needed to have these 2 realities in order for the cycle to continue. In one reality, we have it where Alt Martha shoots Jonas after impregnating her, and in the other timeline, we have it where Jonas lives and grows old to become Adam. As I say, was not emotionally over Adam shooting Martha, so why do you think I was emotionally prepared for Alt Martha to shoot Jonas? I wasn't. I'm still not over it. What the fuck? Number 2 on my list isn't actually anybody murdering anyone. I know, shocking. But it is Martha and Jonas have a child, and he is the unknown man. The 3 men who haunted me through the trailer because I was dying to know their identity is the child of Alt Martha and Jonas. Towards the end of episode 4 of season 3, Martha and Jonas sleep together, and unknown to both of them, he's actually impregnated Martha, and eventually she will give birth to a son, which will start the whole cycle of Dark. I'm going to refer to him as the unknown. He travels as his young self, his middle-aged self, and his older self in a 3. He's just hopping around the timelines, making sure people are dead or making sure people are in their place in the cycle in order for it to continue. He's making sure that all of the events that need to happen in order for the cycle to keep going. So for example, the building permission for the nuclear power plant. He's basically there just to be Eva's pawn and fuck everything up for Jonas and Adam. I honestly thought from the trailer that he might just be a parent who we don't know yet in the family tree, and I guess he is a parent, he's Tronte's dad, but another parent. I honestly had no idea who this man could be. We'd never seen him before in season 1 or 2. He doesn't look like he could be the alt version of any of the characters we already know, so I was dying to know the identity of this man. Towards the end of episode 4 in season 3, due to editing and just clues, you start to see who this man is and what his identity is and who his parents are. I'm not sure if this is just a theory or if this is correct, but the scar or the cleft in his lip, is that because he's a product of incest, or is that just a scar? Kind of had an inkling that he would be Martha and Jonas's son when I saw the scar, because incest children, yeah, they get deformities. So that was one clue. Another clue was just the infinity symbol on the slate next to Agnes in Eve's lair on the floor. Since we don't know what this man's name, how fitting is it that he doesn't have a name? He is the unknown man. He is the start of everything. He is the infinity loop. Truly, the Dark writers have outdone themselves with this plotline. When we were first introduced to him as Jonas and Martha's son, I was kind of a little bit skeptical because we'd never seen him before, and in Dark they very much like to leave clues. But one of the most important objects in the show is of course the book with the triquetra on the front, and it's revealed towards the end of the show that he wrote it. No wonder Adam wants it. Adam wants to know the origin so he can destroy the origin, and he is the origin. There may be other clues to him in previous seasons. There's probably a video out there that you can watch for that, but I am too mindfucked to think about such a thing. They put so much emphasis on the origin, and you are going through every theory you have had about this show on what the origin could be and how the cycle could break, and did anyone think of a child? An ancestral child? Because I don't think I did. They make a huge deal about him being the origin of everything, but little did we know. Speaking of the origin of everything in Dark, let's move on to my number one what the fuck moment, and that is the origin world. A third world. As if I didn't have enough to understand already. Obviously, at the end of season 2, we got introduced to the alt world with Alt Martha, and that was my number one what the fuck moment of season 2, and apparently they just love adding worlds to fuck with my mind. Nearing the end of episode 7, Adam has Alt Martha captured as she is impregnated with Jonas's child. He needs to kill her and kill the baby in order to break the cycle, and he tries to do this using the apocalypse of the alt world and the apocalypse of the prime world. Before I go any further, I just want to mention that that scene with Martha tied up inside the god particle was terrifying, and again, Lisa Vakari deserves all of the Oscars. In the second of the apocalypses in both worlds, Martha and the god particle vanish, and Adam awaits to cease to exist when Claudia arrives, revealing some very shocking what the fuck news. All this time, Claudia has been working for both Adam and Eva, but also working for herself, trying to find a way to save her daughter, Regina, from dying in both or any world. All this time, Claudia has been the most valuable player in the game that is Dark. Claudia arrives to tell Adam that the cycle is not broken and the child is not the start of everything. There is, in fact, an origin world. Going back and paying attention to the triquetra symbol on the book, everybody makes a huge deal about the infinity symbol, but nobody thought of the triquetra. The origin world, the alt world, and the prime world. 3 circles, 3 worlds. It makes so much sense. Both of the worlds we've been watching in Dark, the alt world and the prime world, were in fact created by the origin world by H.G. Tenhouse. In the 80s, Tenhouse loses his son, daughter-in-law and granddaughter Charlotte in a horrible car accident and tries to bring them back from the dead by creating a time machine to travel back in time, preventing the accident. And in the process of testing this time machine, he actually splits his world in 2, thus creating the prime world and the alt world, and creating Jonas and Martha. As both Claudia and Adam want this cycle to be broken, she tells Adam that he must travel back in time to just before the 2020 apocalypse in the prime world to rescue Jonas. After the events of the season 2 finale, when Adam shoots Martha, Adam returns back to the house to explain to Jonas what he must do in order to break the cycle. He explains to Jonas, and then Jonas continues on to save Alt Martha and get her before Franziska and Magnus can. I absolutely love that scene with Franziska and Magnus, with Bartosz and Martha, when Jonas comes in and saves her and then they sort of disappear into time travel. That was such a beautifully shot scene and I absolutely loved it. So after Jonas stops Alt Martha from going with older Franziska and Magnus, he obviously has to explain to her what their mission is, but this Jonas has never ever met Alt Martha, so it's a bit of a weird situation. They head to the tunnel in the caves at the exact moment in time when the tunnel first opened and find themselves on a bridge through time and space on their way to the origin world. This bridge looks very similar to the time travel piece of Interstellar. It looks like they are going through a tunnel in space. Younger Martha sees Jonas in her closet, and then younger Jonas sees Martha in his closet, and then they both meet together to go to the origin world to save Ten House's son, granddaughter and daughter-in-law. Now, I don't know what theories you guys had for the origin of everything, but exactly like The Unknown Man, I wasn't expecting it to be an origin world, but the show is so cool because it just drops hints without you really realizing it. So for example, the season 1 title sequence, at the end they show a mirrored world and a singular world, and this very much hints to the existence of an origin world. Origin world is separate, and then alt world and prime world mirror each other. And I only recently realised that when we are in Origin World, the aspect ratio of the frame changes. Bo and Janti, the creators of the show, are honestly the most talented writers and creators of a show possibly ever. Like, how? There's obviously tension between Ten House and his son. They leave his house to travel back to their home. It's raining. There is going to be an accident on the bridge, which obviously involves them. And Martha and Jonas manage to stop them and convince them to return back to Ten House, which means Ten House never had any loss or any pain, which means he never created time travel. Ten House saved his son and daughter-in-law and granddaughter without him even knowing. Because he created time travel and the prime world and the alt world, those two worlds were able to come together to travel back in time to save his son from the accident, and Ten House didn't even know about it. My mind. After they have stopped the chain of events that would lead to Ten House creating time travel and creating the alt world and the prime world, Martha and Jonas cease to exist. They sort of just evaporate into thin air, as does Adam and Eva, and it's a very, very bittersweet ending to the show. Obviously, we say goodbye to our favourite characters, Jonas and Martha, and we say goodbye to the prime world and the alt world and the whole of the cycle. That is the bitter part. The sweet part is the fact that we finally get a resolution to breaking the cycle. We get all of these characters at the end around a dinner table. There is Peter, Benny, Walla, Hannah, Katerina and Regina, who is now alive and well, all sat around a table. They were never in the cycle of people in the family tree. So they exist in the origin world. We have Hannah, who is pregnant with Wooloo's child, has deja vu and says that she had this moment where everything just sort of ended, and maybe she remembers that from the prime world and the alt world as it happens at the same time. We of course never get to find out what happens to Walla's eye, and then they discuss names for her baby, and she says that Jonas is a beautiful name. So it is quite the bittersweet end to the season. Just talking about it like that makes me really emotional, and the fact that I'm not going to see any of these characters again is very emotional and sad. But honestly, Dark is one of the most well-written, well-acted, cinematography is amazing, score's amazing, it's just very, very well produced, great writing, mind-blowing stuff, and just one of the most satisfying shows I've ever seen. It's one of my favourites. I absolutely loved it, and I absolutely cannot wait to rewatch it again so it can blow my mind all over again. So there you have it, guys. Those are my top 5 what the fuck moments and me expressing my absolute love for Dark as a show. Of course, as I said, there are some questions that were left unanswered, which I would love to discuss with you down below in the comments. Let me know, of course, what you thought of season 3. What were your top 5 what the fuck moments? There were many. And yes, let's just talk about Dark and how much we love it in the comment section. I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it. But alas, that is all I have for this video for Dark season 3. It's very sad that I will never make another Dark video, but I'm very excited to see what the actors and the creators do next. Thank you guys so much for watching these Dark videos and going on my Dark journey with me. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. All my social media links are down below in the description if you want to come follow me. And of course, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you very soon. Bye.